Hi guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to be painting this girl in these orange tones on my iPad with Procreate. I'm going to take it like a semi-challenge because first I decided to make the sketch on my sketchbook and then paint it on digital. So let's go to Procreate. And second, I'm going to use this color palette that it's not common in my normal artworks. Also, I'm going to work with a limited brush, not on the sketch, but for painting, I'm going to use the inking brushes, basically the Baskerville one, and I'm going to use to do everything, or at least I'm going to try to do everything with that brush. It's a preset from Procreate, so you will have it if you use Procreate. And what I realized when I started painting is that the streamline wasn't very good. So what I do in these cases when I just try a brush, because I never worked with this brush before, it's just look how it feels when I paint and then make it more suitable to my work. So for doing that, you have to go to the options from the brushes and go to the stabilization tab and just increase the streamline percentage. So now the lines are more fluid and it's working better for me. Also, you can adjust the pressure, but this is depending on what you want to, you can go down and up and see what happens. I highly recommend to do that when you paint with brushes from Procreate. So this way you can make it more suitable to your work. And now that I have the brushes done and I like the result, it's time to start painting. You guys always ask me a lot how I make to see the sketch when I start painting. So basically, and this is a very simple step, you have to create a new layer and you have to put it underneath the sketch layer. So this way you are going to see it. You're going to see what you're painting and have the sketch as a reference on top. This is very useful for painting like this. Obviously, at some point, if depending on your type of painting system, you can work with one layer if you want. But what I always suggest, and when I try to work with less layers, what I do is always create a backup layer of what you have, just in case you have to come back and recover something. But in this illustration, I'm working with several different layers for each element. I'm ending now the painting of the skin. I choose this light color. It was the lighter color I have on the color palette. So I think it matched very well, like for skin. And now I wanted to create some contrast with the skin. I'm sorry, as I'm repeating skin a lot. But I wanted to make some contrast with the sweater, the turtleneck sweater. So I wanted to be very bright and very, vibrant colors. So I choose one of the oranges or the more darkened oranges that I have right now. I think the contrast makes sense and I kinda like it, how it looks. I tried before other colors that were more, the other pinks that I have there, but they didn't convince me, so I decided to go for the brighter one. And I think the contrast makes sense. Also, for the hair, I didn't have so much changes to choose a color because, or it was going to be pink, red, or, like this type of blonde. So I decided to go with the yellow color for the hair, and I didn't regret that because I think it looks very nice. Like, it's also a very bright color and makes contrast with the skin that is very pale, Also, this skin color is not, it's not in the same, the same hue or the same brightness or the same saturation that the ones that I really work with, because I have like a preset for skins that I choose and I like to work with them. And this color, it's totally out of my comfort zone. For the oranges, I also have some kind of drama because I don't know, when you see an orange, you see the leaves that they are green, but I didn't have any kind of green in this color palette, so I have to see which colors works best. So I choose one of the oranges for like the fruit, And then I went for a pale yellow for the leaves. I think the combination looks fine in the end, and I'm really happy. But yeah, at the beginning, working with a very limited palette, it's pretty difficult because if I work with my normal colors or with all colors available, I will choose completely different colors to work with. But I have fun in the end, and also I think it's a very good exercise when you are like in some kind of art block and you don't know exactly what to do, or you don't like what you're doing. Basically, that's why I decided to make this kind of video, just to challenge myself and to find some, inspiration doing something different. Because lately I have been not very happy with my work. So that's why I tried like making the sketch in the sketchbook instead of making it digitally, basically because my sketching skills on paper are different from digital, and I think that I can do different things just on paper. so I was trying to, just trying different things and see what happens. Here are the leaves, the yellow leaves, and also I decided that I wanted to make stripes on the sweater because I wanted to give some kind of texture and different, I don't want to have that solid color there because it was like super red in comparison with all the oranges. So I wanted to soften a little bit this color just by adding some white. What I'm going to do is just download the opacity of the white because I don't want it also to be that bright. And I want to mix them with the orange or the red of this sweater. So in the end, it's going to look like a muted pale orange color, At that point, I realized that I needed a darkened color to create outlines. So instead of going to the color wheel and choose it, I decided to create like this color with the blending mode. So I know it's going to be according to the color palette I choose. And I'm going to start making the branches for the oranges and the leaves. I couldn't make it on black, but I wanted to have this, continuing with the hues of reds, oranges, and these things. This is a technique you can use when you are watching for a color that matches your current illustration. If you have the sketch, you can set up to multiply or just go through the blending modes and see which colors create. And maybe you can find a color that really matches what you're doing instead of going to, for a brown or for another color. So I think it's very interesting to find colors inside of the illustration. This time I decided that I wanted to create an outline, but not a common outline. I wanted to do something different this time because normally when I outline, I just put the color like you're seeing right now. I'm adding like a plain color with a solid color for all the lines. But this time I wanted to make it different and put more detail. We're going to see that later on. Right now I'm doing like the outline of the skin, and also I decided to use this color, this I think it's like a darkened red, to outline everything, like the face, also the clothes, the branches, and I think that's all. Yeah, I think that's all, because I decided that for example the oranges and the leaves, they're going to have like different color that match better, like this color surrounding, that it's more closer to the orange or the yellow. I'm very lost here because I am not a very fan of outlining. So if you have seen my work, I always put the outline where I need to, but I avoid to draw everything with the outline because this is something that I'm not feeling comfortable with. One of the things that I had more issues, or I struggled the most, was trying to get a very good blush for the girl. For the blush, I normally use a soft brush, but this time, as I am working with the Baskerville brush from the inking from Procreate, I had to try to do something different. So I start smudging the outline, the shape, but obviously disappear, and I tried to do it again. So I ended up erasing the shape to have a shape that I really like, and this is something I always do. Like when I want to do a shape that I can do it, I just use the eraser and make it. So I think it's a very good solution to it. In the end, I ended up being very happy with the result of the blush. So kudos for me. Next step is doing the shadows. If you see, I'm creating a layer underneath the clothes and on top of the skin. So it's a clipping mask. So this way I'm not going or not messing around. It's just everything attached to the skin layer. And I'm using a red. Normally for shadows, I don't use reds. I tend to use purples or blues, more cold colors. But obviously with this color palette, I didn't have any blues or greens or, any other colors. I ended up playing with the blending mode, so this way I can achieve other hues that I don't have like physically in the color palette, but they look fine in the end with the colors that I have for the skin, for example, or on the air, the oranges, all this stuff. Now it's time to start working on the air. I'm using the same color as the skin for creating the lighter air strands. I didn't have too much choice for that. It was this color or the other that is a light orange. So I think this one works better. And again, I'm going to use the blending modes to play with the brightness and things. I'm doing the same with the shadows for the for the oranges. You see, I'm using the blending mode. I'm playing with the opacity to make it more interesting. I think the contrast I'm achieving, it's nice, or I like it, because we have now the light orange and then the more darkened orange. It's not darkened, it's like more saturated orange. So I think it looks fine for me. And now I have to start making like the shadows for the air. Again, I don't have a very dark color to use it, so I'm playing with the blending mode. I'm trying to find a color that matches the yellow we have and it still seems to be dark, to be shadow. It's very difficult, guys, I have to say it. I found it difficult to work only with these colors, but hopefully I can use the blending mode. I don't know, guys, is this cheating? I hope it's not. But yeah, I really enjoy working with blending modes, and this is always in my drawing process, doing whatever I'm doing. So you can see that the blending modes give some vibrance to the drawing and to the colors, making them more saturated or more brighter, even they are darker. And I think it's a very good option to use. If you don't use blending modes, I always suggest just go to the tab and just play around and see what happens, and maybe you find one that you like to use. And after painting like the earring, that is like this big slice of orange, again I'm using, I don't know guys if I'm using here the blending modes, I don't remember right now, but I'm just painting like the inside of the orange. I have to say that it's the first time I paint an orange or I draw an orange, so I'm very happy of the result. I'm here adding some details on the sparkling, the background, and now I'm starting to adding the outline for the fruits, for the oranges. This time I wanted to play with the pressure of the brush, so you will see that I have areas where I have more ink than the others, and I think that playing with this type of outline, like it's not regular and it's not the same size, makes the outline more interesting. And also this is very similar to what you can find if you create like an outline with inks, that you're going to have different sizes for the brush and it's going to be a little bit wobbly. And now what I'm doing is erasing the previous inking we did for the oranges because they were very plain. And I decided to go through this style that I said before, like having different sizes on the outline. This is only putting more pressure to the brush, and that's all. I think it looks more interesting. Also, I like to add more air strands to the air to give it more volume and more life, because it was like a plain shape and I don't like to see it this way. Now it's time to add some shine to the air. Basically what I'm doing is using the most light color and then working with the blending mode, the add blending mode, and make these type of shapes. And now it's turned to the leaves. I'm making the inking of the leaves. Also, you see I'm using this type of not having the same width of the line. For example, I made thinner the inner lines and the other ones thicker. But this is not the only thing I am going to do with the line this time. I decided I want to create some kind of gradient. I'm going to do it very rough. Because I don't want to be soft here. I want to feel like it could be painted on paper. But before I decide to add some color inside the leaves with this yellow, it's very similar to the color of the air. I'm using the blending mode, the add blending mode, to create like this color hue, because I think I don't have this bright yellow on the color palette, so I have to figure out how to find it and how to make it. Now it's time to start working on the outline. You see, guys, what I'm doing is just adding different patches with different colors. They are similar. They are like lighter version of the red, the dark red I worked with at the beginning, and I am adding like these patches on, on the line. For doing that, what I did is alpha lock the outline, and then I can paint inside the line so I can change the color without any kind of problem. I decided I want three things: a darker color, a middle tone, and then a highlight, or a one that it's going to be more lighter. So I am going to create some kind of contrast on the lines, and also I think it's going to make it more interesting. More than seeing plain line with one color. So I think it gives texture to the outline and also give volume to it. Here I'm doing the same with the branches. I'm working with a darkened color here to create some shadows. This is working different than the other type of outline, because what I'm doing here is creating shadows and highlights and giving volume to that lines instead of just coloring. But the feeling is going to be the same, so it's going to look like the line with different colors. So this is what we want. Here I'm applying the highlight ones. You see, it's like this pink color, so I'm just placing it where I think I should. There's no rule here. You can do it whatever you want. And you will see that your outline is going to pop up much than the usual one. I got the idea after watching Sibylline's works. She does something similar to her outlines with wash. I think I also tried to do that with inks, but I'm not that good at that point. So I think that it's going to be a good option to use on your drawings if you want to give this, more traditional aspect to your finished pieces. And for sure, this is something that I'm going to repeat on other pieces as well. You see that I'm using here another type of color for the yellows, because what I want to do is create contrast on the line. And now you didn't see what happened here, but I just decided to add some background. The thing is that, again, I don't have much options to choose, so I went for this yellow, and I see that it was very similar to the yellow of the leaf, basically because it's the same. So I just needed to separate like the background to the leaves, and I decided to add this kind of line. I never do that, so it's the first time, and I don't know if I like it or not. I think I more like it than don't like it, and also give me this feeling of a sticker sheet or something like that. And now this is the last part of the drawing, when I decided to add some kind of texture. Also, you guys asked me a lot for how I give my illustrations texture. Basically, what I do is add a texture image. In this case, is from the watercolor paper. I'm not sure if you can see it, but you have to place it on top of all of your layers. If you don't do that, you're not going to see the texture. And then you have to set up the multiply or another blending mode. In case you use the multiply, you will see that colors get a little bit darkened, and also the white, it's not that white, and I like bright colors, so that's why I always use the divide or division blending mode. That makes the color brighter and also maintains the white pure white, because if you set it on multiply, you're going to see the texture on the white, but in this case you're not going to see it on the white, only on the colored areas. And this is all for today, guys. Hope you enjoy. Thank you so much to my patrons that let me make this video and give me time to work on my art. And if you're going to use some of these techniques, let me know in the comment section below. And have a nice day and a nice week. Bye bye, guys.